contraceptive barrier designed for both men and women. Invented by a kucing man. Wow. Benarkah? I wonder how it works. Hi, Mak. Hi, Billy. Hello. What you doing? Sedalah. Just politics, biasalah. Okay. Mak, want to ask you something lah. We learned something new in school today. Wow, okay. Ask away. Mamak dolok banyak dapat A. I think I can answer your question. Yeah, I know. So today in bio, we learn about reproduction. So something I'm a bit confused about the male and female, right? Jap, Billy. I think for this one, maybe you better focus in class lah. Mamak saya dah ambil bio last time. Really? But teacher asked to come home and ask you and Pa. I thought you guys would know more about this. Teacher asked you to do that? What's the name of the teacher? The teacher lah sepatutnya ngajar. Dah lah ajar benda bukan-bukan. Hey! Apa nama cikgu? I want to call your principal. No need lah. Mak! Hello? Mr. Principal? Yes. Billy's mom here. No lah, no issue. Just one issue actually. What's the name of your teacher? No, shh, no need. Billy, tell. You this always make me malu.
Filled with illness and disease, Arif is on a quest for informed health. Presenting My Health, My Choice. One host, 27 experts. Health issues in Sarawak.
How am I supposed to know all this?
How dare you say like that to an older lady?
You simok lah. You okay? Hey. Lomba bis.
Malaysia is a melting pot of cultures and religions. We tend to emphasize on traditions and cultural sensitivities in almost everything that we do.
In our communities, we are expected to play a certain role and to do certain things. But then, yet again, there are certain topics that is still considered taboo to talk within our communities. And one of these touchy subjects is the physical relationship between members of the opposite sex. And one of the group we are most reluctant in discussing this with is teenagers.
The danger of silence is that it leads to uninformed actions and unwanted consequences like teen pregnancies.
Did you know that globally, birth rate of adolescents has declined? But in Southeast Asia, it has remained unchanged or even actually increased. At the same time, about 43% of teenage pregnancies are unintended.
According to the data from the Ministry of Health, Malaysia recorded 41,083 teen pregnancies between 2017 and 2022. Meanwhile, government health facilities reported dealing with an average of 10,000 teen pregnancies every year. That's about 830 teen pregnancies per month, or 28 cases per day.
We seriously need to talk about teenage pregnancy, as the reality it is a serious health issue. As Malaysians, we are uncomfortable to talk about teen pregnancy and sex, as they are taboo topics which force us to confront our morality. But teen pregnancy is just like any other health issues.
Morality aside, it involves the safety and well-being of our teenagers, their health, and also their quality of life. To learn more about teen pregnancy in Sarawak, Arif meets Dr. Philip, an obstetrician and gynecologist in Kuching, who is also the chairman of the Sarawak Family Planning Association.
Hi, Dr. Philip.
Hi,
Good
Arif.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we're going to talk about teen pregnancy today.
Great, that's a good topic.
Shall we get into it?
Yeah.
We've all gone through puberty. For teenagers, how does puberty affect their behaviors and also their relationships?
Puberty is a time when there is hormonal and physical changes in the body. It is a time that they need to understand their body in future, and they need to understand their inner sexual feelings. So a lot of the times, if they don't have enough knowledge, they're going to turn to two things. One, nowadays is social media, and the other thing is peer pressure. So they're going to ask their friends, or they're going to see what their friends do, and that will very much influence how they're going to behave and what they're going to do. So I think education is important, or information for them.
This is normal, right? Every teenagers go through this, right?
That's right, yeah.
We enter puberty as early as age 8 or 9, and then we are considered as teenagers up until we are 19. During puberty, we experience many physical, emotional, and hormonal changes. These changes make us begin to notice the opposite sex and experience attraction.
Wondering what did they go through? What's in their mind?
The feelings, in the body that they may have different feelings towards the opposite sex or even of the same gender, and then they have to develop and understand these feelings. It is important to know what is safe and what is the limit that they can go to, so that they are prepared for what is happening to them.
My health, my choice. Your health, your choice. My health, my choice. Your health, your choice. It's normal for teenagers to be a bit more curious and aware of their own bodies. But we have to inform them about their risk. Talking about limits, maybe for some teenagers, they're unsure of the limits. Leads to certain actions that will have consequences. So with that said, from your point of view, is it getting a bit common?
In fact, in schools, they do have a curriculum to touch on this, which is called PEERS, and it focuses on reproductive health and social education.
Right.
This, in fact, has been carried on in secondary school since 1989, and from 1994, this is already established in the primary schools, and in 2004, has been established from preschools. But the sad thing is that even though this is there, teenage pregnancies still happen, and for example, in Sarawak, it has one of the highest rates of teenage pregnancies in Malaysia.
Teen pregnancy, what's the impact of teen pregnancy towards teenagers and also in their relationship and in their life?
Teenage pregnancy is what we consider a higher risk category in pregnancy, because it has impacts for both the mother and the baby. As a teenage mother, there's an increased risk of her getting a high blood pressure in pregnancy, of having premature birth, and she may also get not enough nutrition, so the chances of anemia. She may also not go for proper checkup at the government hospitals because she is scared that she may get scolded. So later, and the other thing that's going to happen to her after the baby comes out is that there's also a higher chance that if she's still studying, that she won't go to school, and also she may find it difficult to support the baby financially, and also to look after the baby when the baby is born. And it's quite common for mothers to go into depression. And there's also a higher chance that she may have another baby even though she's still a teenager. So these are all possible risks for the mothers. And for the baby, there's a higher chance that the baby could be of a lower birth weight. the baby may suffer from malnutrition, the baby may have mental retardation, may not go to school, and there's also a higher chance that both the mothers and the baby would need social and welfare care. So it's actually a huge impact. And if the mothers cannot go to school, then they won't be able to keep up with the other schools of her peers, you know. So this is what we want to try to avoid.
Do Sarakians know this generally? The points that you just mentioned just now?
Yeah, even when during my practice, I see them and they're normally brought by their parents and it's already happened. So that's why, as I've mentioned, one of the things that we need to evaluate is why does it happen? One of the main causes for teenage pregnancies is lack of education, lack of information, and that has been done through education, and lack of access to contraceptive, because we do know that when they go through puberty, they have an increase in sexual feelings, and sometimes they will go beyond their limits. They need to know how to protect themselves, not only against sexually transmitted infections, but also against pregnancies, because teenage pregnancies does still happen. So we need to tell them what to do when they're faced with the real situation.
From your experience, and also you've seen cases, or from your point of view, what would be a grand intervention that probably a bit hard to do, but in your point of view, it's much needed?
The most important thing is to strengthen our peers curriculum, which, as I said, we do have. So if it's in case since 1989 and we don't see the results, then we need to strengthen that. We need to see the weaknesses of that, why it doesn't work, whether it's in the implementation system, meaning to say that maybe the school teachers are not being trained,
Or we need to look at the curriculum to see whether what we are teaching is not appropriate.
What can we do to play a role in this issue as well?
We can start with the family, with the parents, that they should be open enough to talk to their children. Daddy tell you or mommy tells you about this so that you can go and find out about this. No, it's to tell them, to educate them so that they are aware of what is right and what is wrong, and be ready when they are encountered with the situation.
In 2022, the NHMS revealed that nearly 33% of Malaysian teenagers engage in sexual activities before they turn 14. However, 88% do not use contraception, heightening the risk of teenage pregnancy. To gain more insight into teenage experiences with puberty and teen pregnancy, Arif speaks to Lee Singh, a Sarawak Family Planning Association youth volunteer and sexual and reproductive health and rights advocate.
Hi, Lee Singh.
Hello.
Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having me today.
We're talking about teenagers. They're in their teenage years, female and male, and they're going through this change in their body. When it comes to being in a couple, in a relationship, what do teenagers look for? What do they seek in a relationship?
Teenagers, they may look for different things based on their personal values, family cultures, or even their desires. I'm going to share a few common reasons. So the first one, they wanted to seek for intimacy or physical affection. They believe that this is a way to show the love and affection to each other. The second one is to seek for emotional support and companionship. But we do have situations like teenagers are easily influenced by the friends surrounding them. Talking about curiosity, this is actually a very normal feeling in the human development, especially for the young people.
Could you tell us a bit more about what is CSE?
So CSE is the Comprehensive Sexuality Education. So it is like the educations involve all matters about sexuality and its expression. So the topics inside CSE, there are actually few categories and few topics, different topics according to the age group. So the one we learn in school, we have the anatomy and physiology to introduce the students about the human body. And then the second one is the introduction to the various forms of contraception, the efficacy, the side effects, and also the proper use of different types of contraception. And aside from these two, of course, we do have sexual and reproductive health. They include the sexually transmitted diseases, we call it STDs.
Yep.
So in this, we will be talking about how the diseases being transmitted and what are some of the symptoms and and how to treat them and how to avoid from getting this. So for this one, we'll basically teach the young people and help them to understand the importance of consent, of communications and respect in a relationship, and sometimes we also teach them how to identify or how to avoid those kind of toxic relationships.
How early should CSE intervention coming into a teenager's life or age?
So I believe that once you enter the age where you are able to communicate with someone, you should start to slowly teach them or let them know something about the body, the development. For younger kids, you can start with safe touch, bad touch. For the secondary students, this is the time where you can start to introduce contraceptions, like what we learn in our Form 4, Form 5 biology.
Just wondering, what do the adults think about CSE?
I would say the perspective is actually different, depends on their personal values or the environment they are growing up, and also the information they are being exposed to. For some parents, they may have a comparably open and liberal attitude towards this CSE topic, and they also encourage their kids, to educate themselves, or sometimes they will even share their own experiences. On the other hand, of course, we have the opposite side.
Just in your point of view, in long term, nothing is being done. We do not normalize talking about teen pregnancy. In the same time also, no one cares about this issue. What will happen to our country?
I believe it will lead to negative, sexual health outcomes. Of course, if people don't have enough knowledge on CSE, the first one, they don't know how to protect themselves, so they might be raising of the teen pregnancy. Also, the second one, the increased cases of, sexually transmitted diseases, where people don't know about the harm of getting these diseases, which may lead to a very bad consequences. You need to normalize this thing to ensure development and the sustainable of our society.
Moving forward, how can we normalize conversations on teen pregnancy?
How do we normalize these conversations? The parents, they will need to always keep the consequences in mind. They will have to know what is the consequences of the children's, getting pregnant at a very young age.
My health, my choice. Your health, your choice. My health, my choice. Your health, your choice.
Since 2017, Sarawak has consistently recorded the highest number of unmarried teen pregnancies in Malaysia.
So, Dr. Philip, when a teenager got pregnant, socially it's kind of frowned upon and it's sensitive towards the culture and also religion. And the solution for it is go get married at that age, at a very early age. So just wondering if this is sustainable or not.
That seems to be a short-term solution. Once you get married, then everything will be sorted out. A very high percentage, about half will end up with divorce or being separated, So if you have a hasty situation, the teenager is pregnant and you try to force them or coerce them, either from culturally or from religious point of view, to get married.
It is very difficult to make it sustainable, so that's how I feel. But looking at the statistics, for teenage pregnancies in Sarawak, less than half of them would be married.
So not many. So the majority is still not married.
When you say half of them, do these teenagers continue to be single mothers after that?
So majority of them, more than half, would be single mothers.
It is actually quite heartbreaking and sad to see how these young adults, they have to go out to work, raise their kid because of this unintended pregnancy.
So when a teenager accidentally gets pregnant, the consequences of their own action, what happens? Is it the end for them, or is there actually a way for them to handle the situation?
So talking about the unintended pregnancies, there are actually very limited options for them. So the first one is you have to carry the pregnancy to term and you have to raise the child, but it's actually required, a lot of efforts, which also includes a lot of money because it's not easy to raise a child. So the second option is to place the child for adoptions. You don't have the enough resources to raise the children. The best option is to find someone who is capable in providing a good environment for the children to give the children a better future. And we do have the last option, which is also the most controversial one, which is to seek for an abortion. So I believe this is a topic that everyone is not really want to talk about abortions, and this is something we don't want to see in our society. One should always be considered about the side effects that comes along with abortions and the other consequences that you might not be thinking about. Yeah.
In the context of Sarawak, what would be some practical things to do for a teenager who got pregnant?
Okay, so in Sarawak or in Malaysia, we do have, these family planning associations. Actually, these NGO, they do provide these consultation or even contraceptive services. So for the young people who suffered from this teen pregnancy and don't know what to do, I think the best is for them to seek for professional help, to consult and to find the best options or to make the best decision they suit their specific situations, for them. Always seek for help and guidance from the professionals.
Coming into this conversation as well, we have to be aware of the science part of it, the religion part of it, and also the socially or culturally accepted part of it. How do we balance all three? Or the other things that could affect this conversation?
Yeah, this is a very difficult balance to strike, and that's where I think the schools are finding it difficult to do it as well. The teachers can do certain extent on education and providing information, but from cultural and from social point of view, the family unit is very important, and that's where the parents come in.
Let's say for parents who are not used to opening up to their kids or children on the topic of sex, what would be your advice to parents who wants to get over that hurdle and start talking about sex with their children?
I think one of the easiest ways to start would be to ask them whether they can look at the children's books, to see whether it has covered these topics or not. So if the parents are not comfortable to do that, they may have to delegate that task to somebody else. So it may be through friends or relatives or the tutors that they have at home, or if not through the teachers, to talk about it further. So they do not have to be the first one to breach the subject, but once the children have got some exposure, then it is easier for the parents to lead on from there. The family unit is very crucial in preventing teenage pregnancies as well as a comprehensive sexuality education curriculum.
So my advice to the young people, always stay informed on the accurate CSE informations, and to take charge on your own body, life and decisions. But before doing all these things, make sure to think critically, all the consequences that might happen for your action, and make sure to make the wise choices that align with your personal values and life goals. And always remember that love yourself first before you can love others.
Perfect.
To prevent teen pregnancies, let's foster open conversations with our teenagers about relationships and sexual health topics. Here are some tips.
Avoid guilt tripping. Instead, give positive encouragement. Guide them to reliable resources because this will really impact their lives. If you don't know where to start, that's okay. There are agencies, organizations, or even individuals that will give comprehensive knowledge about sex and pregnancy to our teenagers.
Teens, if you want to educate yourself more about your sexual health, you can refer to the World Health Organization, the International Planned Parenthood Federation, IPPF, the Youth Coalition, and also the Federation of Reproductive Health Associations, Malaysia, FRHAM. And if you're considering sexual activity, just remember, intimacy does not have to be sexual intercourse. No matter the relationship you have with someone, your consent always matters. Protecting yourself with contraceptives is protecting others. Lastly, if you have an unexpected pregnancy, do not deal with it alone. Speak to an adult that you can trust, or contact the following: the Sarawak Family Planning Association, or One Stop Crisis Centers, OSCC, and Nur Sejahtera Clinics. Remember, my health, my choice, your health, your choice.